Is Disney still the place where dreams come true? Or has it become a political nightmare? On today's show, we'll talk with a top Disney animator about Disney's evolving agenda. And their target? Our kids. Has Disney gone from dreams to dangerous? That is our common sense conversation on today's The Mom View. Welcome to the Mom View. We're so excited to have you here on our couch with us, the ladies. And today we have a very special guest. So if you have ever seen some of the great Disney animated films like The Lion King, Mulan, Aladdin, even Star Wars.
Yeah. Wow.
We have one of the top Disney animators with us today, Davy Liu.
Thank you. Yay. Thank you so much. I can do it.
Thank you for being on with us on the couch today. So as we're thinking about what we were going to talk about when we had you come on, the first thing we want to talk about our favorite Disney movies. What is the Disney that we grew up with? Because I think the Disney that we grew up with is still that magical place, and now we as parents are kind of wondering what's going on. So the first Disney movie that I ever saw was Snow White. My parents took me, and it was, years after it had first come out, but we went out to the theater. We didn't have a lot of money. It was like a really big special treat. And I saw Snow White, and I was like, that's pretty cool.
Do you know Snow White? Just a little bit of trivia. 1937, that was their first animated movie of all time.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So that was the beginning.
So what was the first one you guys saw?
I think the first one I ever saw was probably Cinderella.
Me too.
And I would run around my house and sing like Cinderella and pretend I could sing to all the animals. It was really funny. My kids absolutely will. We all love The Lion King. It's like their favorite. They love the I Can't Wait to Be King. And I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of responsibility with that one, though.
That's right.
It was Cinderella. It is the reason why I wear a lot of high heels because of those glass slippers.
Oh, yes!
I remember that after that I started getting those glass slippers for Christmas, every year from my mom, and I love high heels because of that. In Mexico City, we had this beautiful Disney theater that it looked like the castle in Disneyland. And we used to go there and watch these Disney movies. That's exactly all they did was play Disney movies, right? But my ultimate favorite, I swear it is The Lion King. I love that movie. I love it. I have it in all formats. I love that movie.
When I was looking through my list just of movies that they did, it's hard to even pick.
It is.
Because
it's really hard.
I was thinking, for me, when I think about Disney, I think about all the princesses. I love just that whole
We're the
Prince
girls.
Charming and the fairy godmother and all those moments. But then you think about Toy Story, Incredibles,
Nemo.
Ratatouille,
Yeah.
Nemo, Up. I mean, it kind of just... It is an incredible
collection
that they have.
Yes.
And the more you think about it, the more you realize, wow. And the other thing is, too, the other trivia is Pinocchio is the most famous of all.
That's right.
Really?
And again, of all time.
It is.
That's my
number
favorite.
one.
Is it?
And that's my first Disney film is Pinocchio.
Yeah, it's that rates as the number one film of all time
Wow.
with Disney. So, but when you think about it, all these classics are really what people tend to go back to.
Right.
Not the new stuff that's super edgy and we don't know what the messaging is.
Right.
They tend to go back to these classics because they're timeless.
Right.
And they have really good messaging, I think, especially Pinocchio.
Right.
That one I think should be played all the time in front of all of our kids, because that one is just, I mean, when you look at what's going on in the world today and you watch Pinocchio, your eyes are like, wow, they knew that then?
So when the Disney Channel became like the Disney Channel, where you could see all these movies, I thought, this is great. I'll be able to get to go see all the old classics, which you can. But they had, you guys remember the Disney Afternoon? When I was raising my kids, they came up with the Disney Afternoon. It was on TV in the afternoon. Tailspin. I loved Tailspin. Yeah.
Yes.
And they had Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers.
They were my
and
favorite.
they were so cute. I just, they took these great beloved characters and turned them into these cute little animated shorts. So Davey, tell us just your experience as being an animator with Disney.
Well, before I started as a Disney animators, I mean, I was a straight F kid. I was dumb Forrest Gump in my country in Taiwan. My mom brought me to America. I grew up in Orlando, and I discovered I don't have a gift to make straight A's, but I have the gift to make straight lines. And then when I realized that God gave me this gift of drawings, I pursued art. Then I went to college, and then I was a nerd. I love classical art. I love Michelangelo, and then so I went to a art college, and then Disney came to our school. They were recruiting 8 kids out of the whole entire world. And I
Wow.
was the first Asian boy who's got into Disney in 1989. And then when I started going in there, I mean, I was just so happy that Disney gave me a stack of white paper instead of test paper because I hate school. I mean, school is just nightmare for me. But when I see a stack of these animation paper, it was such a joy to kind of find your passion and then animations. I have ADD, HDD. I mean, 24 frames per second. You're sitting there flipping the drawings, and like the scene of Beauty and the Beast. The scene of him turning from men to from beast to men. I mean, just that rotation. It's 24 frames, but that's 1 second of my work a week. It's very time consuming with hand drawn animations. And it's so mind-boggling. I thought my art school was done, but my art school begins in Disney. When I saw how intentionally, how excellent, how carefully they craft their stories, from storyboards all the way to character design. And I started as an animator, and then I got moved to design layout and backgrounds, and then the mastermind behind it is the project development. When I was working at Disney, when I saw all the forecasts of wonderful film that I'm going to be part of, The Lion King and Aladdin and Pocahontas, Tarzan, and just all these wonderful stories that they're going to bring out to the world. And when I see all of them are in storyboard forms when they're in development, they were just chicken scratches, ideas that wasn't sure if Disney wanted to get into it yet. So just seeing how well they plan, and they're massive. They're like an army of creativity. And I talk about in the beginning, God created the heavens and earth. Creativity is God's first attribute in the Bible. I think what
Absolutely.
Disney did is they took creativity and visualize it, and you can experience, like you said, that it's like everything they taught, they use creativity to tell stories that can change children's forever. And I remember first day in the internship, they said to us that, Disney is not making an animated film. It's the most expensive advertisement for their theme park. So that film that's why they spend hundreds of millions to make their advertisement well,
Yeah.
because they know that there's going to be children's that's going to be timeless. And you notice Simba remained to be that 8-year-old Simba.
Yes.
Well, one thing about animated film is that these actors, they don't retire. They'll never get Alzheimer's. They never will sue you. They will never quit. They'll never complain about their salaries. And that's what's so great about animations. And animation has made a fortune. Lion King, 60 million budget in 1994, has made 14.7 billions.
Wow.
And that's why I call it the largest children's ministry in the world. That's how they get funded.
Yeah.
Because they do everything with excellence.
They do.
That's incredible.
How long were you there? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, so I started in 1990, and I worked on Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Lion King, and Mulan. So I was there for 5 years, and I went to Warner Brothers and worked on Iron Giant. Then I went back to Disney, worked on Atlantis, and then I went to work for George Lucas just to relieve myself from this.
What a resume.
Yeah, so I just relieved myself from this animation world. But trust me, the Star Wars a lot of them are all animations. They're basically CG animations, but still require creativity,
What a
production
resume.
design. Someone designed beautiful spaceship vehicles and all that stuff.
So when you were working on the projects, like especially Lion King, you were able, because you were there from the beginning process,
Right.
you were able to introduce your own kind of concepts. You were talking about that with Lion King.
Yeah, so I noticed, like with the Lion King, if you know the character, that bird, the Zazu, it's Mr. Bean's face. So I noticed that a lot of these animators taking the voice actors and they take their facial feature and then make them talk.
That is so
Even
cool.
though Zazu still looked like Mr. Beans. So when they're working on Mulan, when they're working on Mulan, Mulan's all human characters. So I happened to be the right place in the right time, just like Forrest Gump. So they were looking for inspiration. So I didn't look like Bruce Lee. I didn't look like Jackie Chan. So they kind of took my face and kind of did a study, because my face, the scan in the computer, looks just like the terracotta soldier in China.
I was gonna say you look familiar.
So my eyes are slanted, high cheekbones, and then they just inspired my face was inspiration for Generation, you know, so that's
Amazing.
So I'm the living Disney animated character. Let's get down to business.
Hey, I love it. You got to sing
Everyone
it.
can claim that one. That's
I love what you said that they're just timeless. I mean,
They are.
you don't have to worry about age or anything.
No.
They're just always those incredible characters.
Right.
And because a lot of them are animals or the princesses, they become like a part of our children's lives, and it becomes their imagination.
Absolutely.
And then they become creative or think of their dreams. And I just, that's the part about Disney that I've always loved.
Yeah.
So when you were working on the Lion King, you said that there was there's a Moses theme.
Yeah.
That kind of goes.
So the producer, his name's Don Hahn. He's a PK kid, and you'll see the documentary and making of. I mean, it's a very inspiring. So if you see the story of Lion King, you see the same biography timeline as a Simba was born in the kingdom, just like Moses was, and he was accused of killing somebody. Moses did kill somebody, so they ran to the desert, and he forgot who he was, and he hung out with the Gentiles, and in the desert, many years gone by, and one day he saw his reflections, but he didn't understand how come he looked like his dad, but he doesn't behave like his dad. So one day in the middle of the night, the burning bush in the sky, right? Simba.
Oh my goodness.
Simba, right? Moses. I mean, all those are just the reflections of a biblical gospel in the story of Exodus.
I bet you didn't know that.
So, yeah.
I bet you didn't know that.
And the most powerful part,
That's
it's
incredible.
in every part, even when I go to China, the kid will say the powerful word, it's remember
Yes.
That is one
who
of
you
my.
are.
Yeah, I wrote that down because that is what I was, and I have a sign when you leave our home, and it says, "Remember whose you are," because it is such a
love it.
biblical
Powerful.
principle.
100%.
Remember who you are.
I think that's why that movie like resonates with so many people, and they don't. I think in the secular world they don't realize that there's biblical undertones
Right.
to that.
Right.
I mean, it's just the concept is just incredible.
Yeah. And that's when I saw the biblical
Potential.
gospel in an animal form. It's so magnificent because now you're taking something that's creative, that the Bible is the best book ever sold.
Absolutely.
But no one has ever taken it in an animal perspective of every biblical event. And that's how I got that idea. Like, what if you do animal perspective of Noah's Ark or fish perspective of Moses parting the Red Sea?
That's really cool.
That's fantastic. You know, the movies that they have coming out now, they've done a lot of the live action. They've taken the old films and turned them into the live action movies. And some of them are terrible. But when they did the Jungle Book, that blew me away. The way that they were able to take the CGI and the real characters, and I was like, wow, the talent that is. And as I'm looking at the different films that they've come out with on the live action, the one that just, I have to say, I've always loved the story of Cinderella, but the live action of all of them, that is my favorite. It just totally stands out. The way that they tell that story and the have courage and be kind, that was like everywhere.
Yeah.
They were putting it in necklaces and on banners and have courage and be kind after everything that she'd gone through. And she was still saying, have courage and be kind. It's the lessons that Disney teaches, the positive reinforcement of our values and the traits and character traits that we want our children to learn.
Right.
Those are the things that draw parents.
Right.
So we grew up on Disney, generations have,
Yep.
Yes.
but now we bring our children to those same timeless treasures where we can reinforce the values that we're trying to teach them.
100%.
And I think that's the thing that concerns us.
So it's making us mad.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
being
They're
for
messing
sure.
with it.
Angry, yes.
They're messing with it, and maybe
And-
they've always been messing with it, but we never saw it so blatantly.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and they're really just kind of coming right out and even saying that that's what they're doing. I think if we could help them understand, and it's that call to action thing. What can we do as moms to help them realize that we love the Disney that we grew up with, and that's not a bad thing. It's okay to keep the good stuff.
Well, isn't it also true to Walt Disney's his own ideals anyway?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, so there was this quote that I found, and I just thought it's absolutely perfect. When Walt Disney created this magic place, he did so because he wanted children's dreams to come true. He wanted us to be able to have a place where we could go and live the American dream. That's kind of it.
Right.
He was a very patriotic man.
The happiest place on earth.
It is. So he said, here is the world of imagination, hopes, and dreams. In this timeless land of enchantment, the age of chivalry, Magic and make-believe are reborn, and fairy tales come true. Fantasyland is dedicated to the young in heart, to those who that when you wish upon a star, your dreams really do come true.
Yeah.
That's the Disney.
Yeah.
That's the
That's the
Disney that
Disney.
we all
That's
loved
the
and fell in
Disney.
love with.
Yes.
Well, when we come back, we're going to be talking about the Disney of today,
Uh-oh.
where we're rolling into the political agendas and how they're using Disney to target our children for various different agendas that we do not agree with. We'll be right back to talk about that with Davy Liu on the Mom View.
Do you think America is having an identity crisis?
Yes, very much so. My people perish for lack of knowledge.
There's a lot of targeting of conservative children.
That they're coming after the children. It's like, you know what? We have to do something. This is war.
Professors and students are trained in a particular kind of way, and that there's indoctrination that takes place that you're not aware of.
All the curriculum was dumbed down, and we moved away from teaching knowledge, facts, and information, and instead indoctrinated kids with attitudes, values, and beliefs that most parents don't believe and don't want their children believing.
The globalists that want to reshape the globe are a elite group, a small group of gatekeeper elites.
Our children are being formed, they're being shaped by a system that is actually designed to turn them away from God, to turn them away from the principles that are at the foundation of our country, really even to turn them against their families.
That the condition of the land is always directly related to the condition of God's people's hearts. And so we're now maybe facing national judgment.
Now what we're up against is the establishment. We see that we need to have some kind of a healthy revolution. We would always say a nonviolent revolution, but there has to be a revolution. Otherwise, we're going to go down because these foxes are part of a world order. They're globalists, they're not Americans, and they'll sink this ship.
Just think of the power of those three words, just a mom. You are fighting for something that means more to you than anything in the world, your children.
There are patriots like you and me fighting against the globalist agenda in order to preserve our republic. I want you to meet them and be inspired. Are you ready? Let's go.
So I think we all, as parents, started to notice that there was a trend in Disney moving to another direction. It started with the TV shows where kids started to talk to parents with disrespect, treat them as if they were marginalized. The kids always knew everything, and they ran the world. And that's when it started to go, wait, what's going on right now? When the dads look dumb, the moms look like they're inept. I mean, that's not the kind of thing that we want to be able to promoting with our children. But it really hit home when a Disney executive just came right out and said what her agenda was, that their intent was to put a lot of political agendas on homosexuality and gender confusion and a lot of these things into the Disney animated films to start to turn our children in another direction. Here's what the Disney here's what the Disney executive said to a private audience that we now have access to.
It's like, I love Disney's content. I grew up watching, all of the classics. They have been a huge, informative part of my life. But at the same time, I worked at small studios most of my career, and I'd heard, you hear whispers. I'd heard things like, they won't let you show this at a Disney show. And I'm like, okay. So I was a little sus when I started. But then my experience was bafflingly the opposite of what I had heard on my little pocket of Proud Family Disney TVA. The showrunners were super welcoming. Meredith Roberts and our leadership over there has been so welcoming to my not at all secret gay agenda. And so I feel like I felt like it was, maybe it was that way in the past, but I guess something must have happened in the last they are turning it around, they're going hard. And then all that momentum that I felt, that sense of, I don't have to be afraid to let's have these two characters kiss. Let's in the background, I was just wherever I could, just basically adding queerness to if you see anything queer in the show, a proud family. But like, I just was like, no one would stop me, and no one was trying to stop me.
So the Disney of the past.
Right.
That she doesn't want the Disney of the past, so she's creating a whole new
Queer
Disney.
everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, what is that? Bizarre.
Yeah. And okay, and I want to reiterate, we say this all the time. You do you, I do me, stay away from the kids.
Exactly.
This isn't about your lifestyle and what you're choosing.
Exactly.
This is about indoctrinating children, changing their hearts and minds, going directly against the values that parents care about. And Davey, you saw that when you were at Disney, right?
Yeah, so I after Warner Brothers, I went back to Disney working at Burbank, and they hired me to work on Atlantis. I was in development, and when I was in development up in the third floor, so on the top development was all the brain people that think ideas that can make billions. And when I was up there developing it, to my surprise, on first day I was there and I was looking around, and then they were spending $23 million investing in this story. It's about a boy want to be a girl. And so it's called Wildlife. And I was shocked how developed they were. But after I left Disney, I went to work for George Lucas. I heard this is Royal Disney. This is from my friend. Royal Disney came upstairs because the Disney stock went down plunging. After Lion King, nothing was good. Pixar at that time wasn't owned by Disney. Pixar was outdoing Disney. And Royal Disney, the nephew of Walt Disney, was furious. Says, why isn't my my uncle's company what's going on? What are you guys producing? And then so he told all the executive to show everything that they were making in the next 20 years. And that Wildlife, the boy wanted to be a transvestite, has been spent $23 million. It was supposed to come out in 2002, and this is 1998. And boy, when World Disney saw like how crazy a boy wanted to be a girl, and it's been developing and it's so far advanced already, he was so fierce. He fired the 3 executive that they have the same twisted woke agenda like that the person over there. So he fired it, and he said my uncle would have a heyday. This is not what my uncle wanted to do.
Right.
So again, I knew this is not Walt Disney's intention. So apparently right now Walt Disney is not owned by Walt Disney family. It's owned by public. I think Disney's up for sale again, unfortunately. So right now Disney is no longer owned by the original Walt Disney company. So that's why you're seeing all this twisted agenda. It's owned by the public. So it's run by a very different agenda.
Well, at least that gives me a relief, right?
Yes,
that it
right.
wasn't the creators of the original Walt Disney who put this on, but comes again to show that this has been going on for a very long time.
I didn't realize.
It's happening everywhere.
2002. That film was supposed to come out in 2000.
Yeah.
I mean, they have been working on this, and they know how do you get to the children is through the culture.
Since 98 is what you said?
Yeah. So when I was working up in development, okay, so this is Disney. This is some of those guys have passed on. When I was up there working, I mean, all the creative people, I mean, they all have a very different family value, okay? And we didn't have the word woke then, but most artists are like that. I'm probably the normal. I don't pierce, I don't smoke, I don't have tattoo, I don't have any dye color hair. I mean, I'm kind of not normal being a Disney creative, development artist. But most of us artists, they all have a very different lifestyle. So they're very sincere about bringing their so-called their family value. They want to be celebrated. They want to be accepted. So therefore, they're up there on that think tank of Disney that they're able to create projects that can influence family over the world with their agenda.
Well, it's not what most families want, and if it's about money, then they might want to cater to their audience. Than trying to change the culture.
Yeah, and I don't think it's about money. I really don't think. I really think that they're sincerely wrong. They want to share this empathy side of there's a different people that have different lifestyle that they also need to be celebrated. And I understand. But I never thought a cute company, Walt Disney, could become the largest children's ministry to infiltrate and to influence. Just like you guys grew up. You never forget those songs. You never forget those value that they bring, right? I mean, it's powerful. It's magical, whatever that is. But now they're using that powerful tool to really just, confusing children.
Exactly.
So,
What do you think their end goal would be? Where do you think they're going, and how bad will it get?
I really think that they feel like this is their mission. This is their
That's
gospel.
terrifying.
They really feel like we need to have more of this so that people will celebrate tolerance. They'll celebrate more embracing of accepting others with others. So you have LGBTQ. I have letters I can't even keep up anymore. Every day there's a new alphabet.
Yeah,
How
over
far do you
100.
go with this accepting everything is okay and just, and then it's so confusing for children. And so I really think that Disney company are taking they are their mission is continue to do what they believe in, which I think is wrong.
Right.
So, but they want to continue to use something that we celebrate as a children's, but they're taking us, to that twisted agenda, which I personally don't subscribe to, because I don't want to answer to this God who created children to be a girl and a boy.
I mean, I think to me, and I mean, I don't know if I'm wrong, right? But they jump in the wagon with the pharmaceutical company because it's a lot of money. It's a business that is very profitable. The transgender, it's a very profitable business for pharmaceutical companies. So who knows to say that the pharmaceutical companies don't have money into Disney?
Yeah. And then they're pairing it with, government, local government, like our school boards or the Federal Department of Education, which should not exist in itself. But when they're partnering like that, there's a lot of incentive to push for transitioning children or putting them on puberty blockers, which is completely sterilizing children. And then you become lifelong customers, like you said, to the medical mafia. I mean, it seems like it obviously is done on purpose to push, not just for tolerance, because, I mean, it's not like we were hanging gay people, ever. There weren't, you know what I'm saying? There was nobody that was
no one care about their lifestyle until they start messing with children.
It's just when we're celebrating who you have sex with, like you're not marginalized because of who you choose to have sex with.
Right.
You're choosing to be to push that forward when that should just be behind closed doors. Whatever you do behind closed doors, I'm totally fine with. Just don't push it on my child because they are children. They are supposed to be innocent. And the values that we push forward to them should be about being kind and manners and respect, right? Those things, not about
the things that Disney always promoted.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
that, you bring up a very good point though, Davy, and that is that they really believe it. And I know this because I've talked to a lot of people who really believe that they are doing the compassionate thing and they want people to understand and embrace. But when you are, it's a lot harder to convince an adult of something that just doesn't make sense. Okay. If you want to live that life, that's fine, but that's not what they want. They want you to embrace and accept their life and their lifestyle. And so if you can go to a child and you can start planting those seeds early. And that's the reason why I just find it deplorable and absolutely despicable and even on the verge of abusive that Walt Disney would use their platform, one that parents have trusted for so long, to now target children and try to push these values and confuse them. The perfect word. They are confusing them because we're teaching them certain values, manners, respect, courage, all these decent things. Just be a decent human being. And they're they can't stop talking about sex.
Yeah.
Our kids don't want to talk about sex when they watch Disney. They just want more time on the playground and an extra turn on the swing.
They want to be able to slay the dragons and be the princess. Like, that's what they want.
Those heroes.
Exactly.
I have another question, too. Has it always been, we hear this all the time, like they were always putting in imagery or sex.
That's good.
The
smoke.
Yeah, I mean, I
Smoke
don't
and
know.
mirrors.
They really did do this all along. And how did that get in? Disney.
Well,
How they sneak that in
when
there?
you're in that position, this film's going to be a classic. It's going to be around forever. It's going to be it's going to be forever and ever. So you got these animators that I wouldn't say they're bored. They just, especially the special effects, people that doing smoke, lighting, or things that's just more subtle. They intentionally just, put some of these subtle things, and then we do have screenings. Some get caught, but because they're special effects, it's harder to catch those things. So even you have to really intentional to see it. So,
but once you see it, then you
can't.
Oh yeah. Once you see it, so obvious, right?
Yeah.
So it's like for mine's more obvious because I'm a little selfish too, because like, oh shoot, I want to be a character in Mulan. So what the heck, so I want to be in the history of Disney as well. So I put my own facial feature, in the history. So it's just naturally as an artist, you always want to have your personal touch in there. So it's there. So and I'm sure there's more that probably most of us didn't see.
Well, it's a lot more obvious now. I mean, you really can't miss it now.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people have dumped the Disney Channel. My children still have the Disney Channel because of their children love Bluey. And I'm like, that is a really, really great show. And I hope that they don't screw that up because it talks, it's like the dad is real. The mom is real. They're not marginalized. They're not treated as second-class citizens. The kids don't, rule the world. It's a real family unit where they're spending time together as a family. And I just, it's a great show, but I'm just waiting. You just kind of sit on the edge of your seat and just wait. When are they going to start introducing the mom and mom couple or whatever? And it's like, why?
Well,
why?
It puts a lot of stress, I think, on parents now too, because we have to screen the film or screen the show before we let our kids watch it, on top of all the other things that we're doing.
And you can't just screen it. You have to screen it with like really close eyes.
That's hard to do.
It is.
It's hard to do. And it's very time consuming. It's something that we trusted because we grew up with that. Like I watch Disney movies and I'm still a kid. I feel like a kid when I watch them. I just, and so I want that for my children. But when I have to sit down for hours at a time to make sure that there's no kind of indoctrination or sexual content in the film or in the show they're watching, it's so exhausting.
Well, my son, he's only 22 and he says he's saving the VHS player, all our VHS, because that's all his kids will watch.
The VHS.
He's 22 and he thinks that way, Mom, don't do anything to those movies because that's all my children are watching, those old Disney movies.
That's actually a smart.
That's smart.
That's a smart move.
Pretty smart.
All VHS is good.
He's already seen that.
Right. Well, when the Disney afternoon came out, I mean, it was awesome because I knew the kids can, for those 2 hours, go sit down and watch those 4 shows. You're good. That was their TV time for the day. And now it's like, oh, is it Disney? Oh, no, we're not going to do that. It's got to be, it would break his heart. If Walt Disney was alive to see what they have done to his name, it would literally break his heart. Well, there is some good news.
Oh, there is?
There is.
Good.
And that
It's
is
good.
that when you have this amazing Disney incredibly talented animator who walks away from Disney and says, okay, that's just not what I want. Then he does something magical and creates something really valuable for kids.
We have hope, people.
There you go. So when we come back, we're going to talk about all the new things that are coming out from a new platform called Kendu Kids that Davy Liu has formed, something we can really trust again for our kids. We'll be right back on the Mom View. We've all heard the old saying, every vote counts, right? Well, maybe you think your vote couldn't possibly make a difference. Maybe you think your one vote is insignificant or irrelevant. You are not insignificant, and your one vote can have a huge impact. Moms like us care deeply about our children and grandchildren. Our culture, our values, the economy, and our freedoms are all extremely important to us. As moms, we must be engaged. We need to vote our values. Yes, every vote does count. And when we unite our one vote with the votes of moms all across the country, it's no longer just an election. It's a movement.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Mom View, and with our special guest host, Davy Liu. Please tell us all about your new project. I'm so excited to hear about it, and I know our audience is too.
So when I was in Disney, I was pitching projects, and I pitched this project with Warner Brothers. So this story is about the giant leap, and we learned from all the animated film we worked on. The marketing at Disney realized that the princess and human characters, they don't sell as well as the animal characters. So originally, the Lion King story was about a tribal family, but when in Africa, we changed it to Mufasa. So that's when I got the idea. I says, boy, wouldn't that be great? So in the story of the Bible, that the animal came to the ark 7 days before the flood. As a kid, I always wanted to know, how did this animal knew about the Noah's Ark story?
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote the stories. This was in Warner Brothers, 1995. And this is about the story, Kendu the fox. So Kendu came from, you can do all things through Christ. So I believe every kid.
I love that. You can do anything.
So Kendu Kids means every kid is a Kendu Kids. So Kendu had a dream of the giant leap where he was free and happy. But his world, he was in the world of the dinosaurs. The dinosaur says, "What keep you from this animal eater out there will eat every little creature like you?" And we heard the animal eater has destroyed your homes and the trees for 120 years. But Kendu says, "I got to take a giant leap of faith." So he left the dinosaur's protections every day, went on this wonderful journey of his dream of the giant leap. What was this giant leap is? In the giant forest. So he went to the giant forest. He saw a crazy monkey that had the same dream. Itzhak says, "I had a dream of giant leaf." In there was all you can eat bananas. But what is this giant forest is? The monkey Itzhak says, "Can't go to giant forest. Don't you know we ran away from there? For a long time, this animal eater has been eating the trees and banana trees, and that's why there's no more bananas." But Kendu remind him that you got to take a giant leap of faith. He left the giant forest with his new friends. On their way there, they met a koala bear. She's crying. She said, "My husband was abducted by the animal eaters, but last night I saw him in my dream, the giant leaf." Many days gone by, they finally went to the giant forest, and they saw the animal eaters. And here they are. As they did, they saw the animal eaters. Its mouth is so big and its tongue is so long. And why is animal still going there 2 by 2? Just then, they were so confused. The gazelle stood in the mouth of animal eater, says, "You all got to have faith to be saved." Saved from what? From this little raindrop going to turn to a big puddle of flood. As 3 creatures, they said, "Looks like we need to go inside the animal eaters." As they went inside the animal eaters, they found out the animal eater is an animal savior. So you're inside the animal eater's belly right here. So that this story continue with Itzhak. The monkey went inside, found all you can eat banana. The koala bear found her husband just like she had dreamed.
So sweet.
But Kendu didn't find his giant leaf. With his disappointment, he saw his name carved in the manger. He says, "Whoa, how does animal eater even knew me?" Not even just knew him, even provide a foxy lady as his new wife.
Oh, this is so cute.
Kendu says, "Wow, I didn't dream of this beautiful wife of mine, but in my dream, someday when I see this giant leaf, I shall be free." Many, many days gone by, water slowly subsided. Kendu jumped off the animal eater's belly. As he did, he looked up from the bottom of the water. He saw his giant leaf at last.
Oh my gosh. Okay, look, I'm not crying. You're crying. What is happening?
So the best part at the end that we're going to define the origin of the rainbow. It did not come from Hollywood. It came from the Bible.
Amazing.
So this is our first animated film planned on coming out in 2026 June in the theaters, in the theater competing with Disney, so that kids will know Jesus before they know Mickey.
Oh, wow. The images are amazing.
Okay.
So we want kids to know you can do
anything.
So that's what I want kids to know. You can do it. So, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Now, can you tell everybody where to find it?
So you can find our books on kendukids.org, Kendu, kendukids.org. So I thought I was going to do one. So I used this book to find my investors. So our second film, 2027, is a fish perspective of Moses parting the Red Sea.
Wow.
And then the following summer, it's a lion perspective, why they need the prophet Daniel. And the next summer, it's whale perspective of Jonah. And the next one, it's a animal perspective of Jesus became the ultimate animal sacrifice. So in the next 12 years, I learned this from Disney. Disney says, get them before you turn 10. In the movie theater in the next 12 years, we're going to have an animated film equal weight as Disney quality, directed by Disney director, produced by Disney producers that love Jesus. We want to produce something beyond what the Lion King has produced, because we are producing for the King of Kings.
Wow. Oh my gosh, I love this so much.
It's about the action, right?
Yeah.
That time what you were seeing, it was like enough, but it's I'm just not gonna sit and complain about it.
No.
I'm gonna do something about it.
It's like David with Goliath, man.
Yes.
You got whole Israel like with the army, with the president hiding in the cave, complaining how big Goliath.
Right.
I believe that we need to provide an end to. We need to have a solution for children.
Yes.
We can't tell them just don't look at it.
Yeah.
I got parents in homeschool saying my kids at night sneak behind my back watching Disney Plus with other friends' account. We need to provide light, because if we're going to complain how dark this world is, that's because the light has not here.
Right.
If you have light, the darkness simply has to leave.
Absolutely.
I just think that we need to be a light. Such time as now.
Oh, such a time as this. I love
the
this.
church, the Christians should be better than the world.
100%.
So I don't know why we're always behind.
Yeah.
But I love it. We are going to surpass.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Surpass.
That's why I wear a cowboy hat. It says church is like a cow. We're letting the world leading our kids to hell. but we need to be a cowboy and pioneers. We need to lead. We need to have a visions, and we need to be brave and stand up and lead.
You know, I hear all the time when I'm talking to specifically like political donors or lots of different people will ask me, well, what are you doing for the election? You know, what is Moms for America doing for the election? And I just scratch my head and I say, we're saving the culture.
Right.
And they're like, what? Yeah. And I said, what good is it to have an election with a whole populace of people who hate America, have no moral compass, their values are deranged. What are they going to vote for?
Right.
And then they just kind of look at me and I said, what we need is more movies, more films, more stories where we are capturing the hearts of children before they go out into the world. That those values that we want to teach them are being reinforced in the culture. We have to be the fun table. We've got to be the cool kids, because they're going to the cool kids on the other side, and it's not good. It's not so the fact that you've taken this great leap, I mean, I just can't thank you enough for doing this. And now we just we want to make sure you get all the investors that you need to make it happen. So you're for the first film or the second film, you're halfway.
So I'm halfway there. I got an investor from a big burger franchise in California. So I'm halfway there. The film is 35 million. I know that's a lot for you guys. Disney right now is 250 million. The new Frozen, 250.
Wow.
So 35 million. It takes 2,000 animators animate a film. It takes 2 years. So to do something really, really wow, I want something that is just quality. Just make things beautiful. You know, I love it. When I was book signing in Barnes Noble, all these books, a kid came up to me and says, "Sir, thank you for not making your book look like a Christian book." That's it.
I think that's important too.
Kids knows, okay?
They know.
As soon as you go to Sunday school, they're bored to death with that Sunday school stuff. It's like the kids knows. They can't wait to go home and watch Star Wars and Disney because everything they do is beautiful.
Yeah. Right. You have to be able to capture their imagination.
100%. Kids
and
know.
this 100% does that. And I just love the fact that you saw a problem and you found a solution and you're implementing that solution. And I think every single person that's watching this right now can figure out how they can help push forward this movement of changing the hearts and minds of our children in order to change the hearts and minds of our culture to push forward.
Crowdfunding is very powerful, and Angel Studios has showed the power of
absolutely.
When we want something, we need to go get it.
Invest in it. How bad do you want it?
Right.
Yeah.
Put your money where your mouth is. How can people?
So the best part about this invest in the film. So Lion King 60 million has made $14.7 billion in licensing.
Great investment.
It's a great investment.
So with our film model, that if you invest, you're gonna get residual of royalties for infinite until Christ come back. So
who doesn't want that?
Yeah, so it's infinite. So that's why crowdfunding is hard for us, because we can't pay 100 millions of people with small donations. So we really need people that invest. So we're 17 million and we got 17 million committed. We are 18 millions away from getting our 35. Once that money it's in one bank account, then we're able to, from that, the clock ticks. For 2 years from now, we're going to have this beautiful animated film in 4,000 theaters across the nations. And that now parents and children are going to have options to watch something what once upon a time was a beautiful.
And when Disney started, they just had one film.
Right.
And they had a mouse and they had Snow White.
That's right.
And then they've grown into this.
Right.
So we need to have this first film come out so that, because then everybody's going to want more.
Oh,
and I love the fact that you're competing for quality. That the fact that you did work for Disney and Warner Brothers and Lucasfilms. This is great.
Thank you.
Because you saw what quality was.
100%.
And you're like, no, we're going to compete with the quality because our kids are going to recognize good stuff.
100%.
And we can't have the cheesy things.
No.
And I love the fact that it's not saturated. Of course, we all want these values of Christ and the biblical values. Of course, we want those integrated into our children, but we don't want it by taking a Bible and shoving it down their throats.
No.
So this is fantastic because then it opens the door to conversations that we want to have with our children that we can't have when we're watching Disney. The classics. We can watch the classics. But this is good quality content that we need to have. So I certainly want to encourage every single person out there. If you know somebody, tell somebody that has the ability to invest in this, because we as moms want it. And maybe that's what we need to do. Absolutely. Maybe we as moms just need to start putting it out there. We want this film. Who's going to bring it to us?
You know what I was going to say too to Davy, along with investing, I bet you now are going to have an incredible production where you're going to be able to hire the next generation of animators and really change the world.
Debbie,
And
that's another one. I want to provide a platform, a company that these talented people that want to use their gift, they don't want to work for Hollywood, but they can come to Kendu Films and use their gift, whether it's music, creative writing, management, IT, engineer. I mean, there's all different talent that they have no place to serve, that they can come here and serve, because I love the fact that Disney really paid me well. Same thing. These talented people needed, a lot of these church entities don't pay well. We want to pay them exactly how Disney paid the talent, because
and
that's,
as an immigrant, you and I both, that it's great that you can bring your values and still get the American dream. You don't have to sacrifice your values.
I was just gonna say that this is a prime example of American ingenuity.
Yeah.
When you are able to build a company and expand it to where other people in this nation are able to work, you are creating jobs. It's not the government's job to create jobs. It's our job to create jobs with our own creativity and our own American ingenuity. And I absolutely love that you're willing to do that.
No,
And
it's
so
the government's job to get out of the way.
Yes.
So that creative
we can do this.
Can do this.
Yes. We can do this.
Where is Kendu? Where are your studios?
so my Kendu Film, our headquarters in Los Angeles. So our animation is going to be done here in Dallas, and we're going to be contracted out. So we get tax incentive in Canada, 35%. So our $35 million will look like a $60 million films.
Wow.
So 5 animation studio up in Canada is going to be doing our anime, because tax incentive is so good up there. A lot of Hollywood animation studio moved to Canada.
Well, a lot of
we need to bring it all back
pictures
to
and
America.
productions in itself have moved up there, because Canada has been, it's like the new Hollywood. They have been open arms, coming and do your films and your TV productions here. So that's smart.
Yeah,
That's
they're
smart.
doing a good job there in Canada. Unfortunately, they took a lot of our business.
Yes,
but-
well, that's because America and Hollywood, the American regulations, Hollywood's
keep
just
doing
kind
it
of
to ourselves,
upended.
you know what?
But you know how to fix that in November, just saying.
That's a whole other conversation.
I know, but you gotta tie it in.
That again, get the government out of the way so that we can bring all these things back to the United States. Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
Well, this has been absolutely amazing having you on the set.
Thank you so much.
I have to say that as a mom, it has been very, very difficult for me to watch the transition of Disney. It is heartbreaking because that is what I grew up with. And I still remember, I mean, it was reruns, but Mickey Mouse Club, and then they redid the Mickey Mouse Club. I mean, I watched those things. That was my life. And all of us have experienced Disney in a heart-touching way. And it is heartbreaking to see where Disney is going.
I mean, I can tell you, I feel relieved that my kids are grown up. And I mean, it's been years since I set up foot at Disneyland.
Well, trust me, when you have grandkids, that Mama Bear thing is going to be even more powerful.
You can't even go to Disney.
No,
anymore.
you can't
go there because they've got too much happening.
But we have solutions.
Yes, we do.
Solutions are
And
important.
I am so grateful that you are doing this. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate it as a mom. I think we all do.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
So my story is, I left the Lion King to create for the King of Kings.
I love that.
That's
The
awesome.
King of Kings.
That is
Merch.
awesome.
That's merch.
That's merch.
Nice.
Yeah.
The other one you said too, I wrote it down. I know that my gift is not to win an Oscar, but to win souls for Christ.
Yeah.
I love that.
So it's my dream as, I want to win an Oscar and bring it to heaven to my Jesus.
Oh,
But God says, if you bring a whole load truck of Oscars, nowhere near bring one child to heaven.
Amen.
Ooh,
Amen.
that's good.
That is so great. Well, we're going to come right back and close out the show with our final comments. And again, we're just thrilled that you were on the show with us today.
Thank you very much.
Good
Lee.
news is
I
always
appreciate
great
it.
news on
Yes.
the Mom View. We'll be right back. What kind of America do you want to leave future generations? What do you want America to look like for your children and your grandchildren? Our nation is at a crossroads, and it will be us, the mothers of America, who will determine the future of our country. What we teach and nurture in the hearts of our children and how we vote will make all the difference. If you love God, respect life, honor family, and cherish freedom, then use your voice and be heard. We teach these values in our home. Let's secure them with our vote.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're just going to go around and just give our final thoughts before we close the show on, your being here and being our guest host and all of these amazing things that you're doing. So let us start with you, Kim.
So I would just say thank you. I mean, that is my biggest takeaway. Oh my gosh, I didn't mean to get emotional.
I started it. I'm sorry.
It just kills me that it is so hard to raise children today. And so when we can find an incredible resource like this, I just want to thank you for doing it. And everybody needs to find out about Kendu Kids and be a part of it.
Yeah. And we're praying for you.
Thank you very much.
You are in a battle zone just like all of us, whether we're raising kids or we're going into this industry and carrying the torch there. So let's keep you in prayer.
Absolutely.
And I'm excited what God's going to do. And thank you for being a warrior.
Thank you.
And you gave me hope. There's hope for my grandkids, right? Because that's what I'm looking for. And this is why we do what we do for our grandkids, the kids of our kids and the future generations. There's hope, and knowing that someone that came from another country can see that, and it's willing to save America and our children. Yeah. Thank you so much.
I'm just thrilled that you've been able to do this. You saw a vision, you saw a problem, you found the solution, and now you're implementing it. And that is going to make such an impact in our culture and in our children and for the future generations of Americans. And I'm so grateful for you. And we want to know where to find it. So say where you can find it again, where we can find all of your items, all the books, and help you out.
Yeah. So you just go to kendukids.org. And you can get all the books there. And then I also do speakings, so I can come and speak in your community.
Oh my goodness. Okay. And then if you would like to find more about Moms for America, you can always go to momsforamerica.us, sign up on our webinar list or our list for newsletters and all of that. You can go to momsforamerica.us, but also visit us on all of our social. We are at The Real Mom View on Instagram. Go to themomview.com to watch past episodes and give us your input. We'd love to hear from you. Anything else you'd like to end with?
I just thank you for being here. Every week that you join us on the couch.
Thank you, moms.
Is a great day.
I hope you all are really encouraged too about this. I know we're struggling with culture, but we have solutions, and solutions are so important. We can talk about the problems all day long, but you have the solution. Right?
That's right. You
And
can
you
do it. You can do
can
it.
do it. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thanks.